News Radio 840 WHAS coming up on today's Louisville Real Estate Show. Could your dog or dogs be creating problems for you for your heating and air conditioning system? And can you pull out of a purchase contract at the last moment? Are those cardboard boxes in your home harboring creepy, crawly creatures? And 10 places to check for wasps in and around your home right now. Hi, everybody. Bob Sokoler. I own the Sokoler team at Remax Properties East, and we've got a great show, great folks here with you till the top of the hour. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday. We start with the thanks to Chuck Crosby, who is the owner of the Crosby Law Offices. You can reach him for real estate closings, power of attorneys, wills, foreclosure defense, commissioner sale. You can reach him at 499-6360. Also here with us, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bugout. You can reach Brad and his folks at 844-411-TEAM. And if you are thinking of selling your home or even buying a home, I'd love to help you. No home too big, no home too small. You can call me anytime on my cell phone. The direct number is 502-376-5483. That's 376-5483, or go to bobsellslouisville.com. All right, we start with this first question for Chuck Crosby. Emma sent us an email with the following question. She says they are about 20 days before closing on their home and realize that the inspections of the solar panels on the home are leased and not owned. And Emma and her husband think they are being taken to the cleaners on the purchase of this home. So they want to use the financing contingency clause to get out of the contract. And she's wondering, is that even possible, Chuck?
It's not advisable it is always possible not to close, but it is not advisable. In this case, if they were to try and use something other than what the real issue is, there's the possibility they're not operating in good faith, which the contract is based on. Plus, if they would have to create a scenario that would prevent them from getting the financing, things like going out and buying a Lamborghini or something like that, adding extra credit. Well, A, that clearly shows bad faith, and B, doesn't always work. Had a fella tried that one time and it still didn't prevent the financing. So now he was stuck with this really high payment on another thing and still had to go through. Now, getting back to the actual issue, if it was something that wasn't disclosed, if it was something that was hidden, if there's some sort of hanky-panky going on with not letting them know it was leased, well, maybe there's a way out there. But my bet is they probably already had the opportunity to look into that kind of thing, and if they didn't, well, but that's the scenario. You shouldn't use or create a problem to get out of a contract, because then that can just lead to worse issues.
Yeah, the important thing is, if you're going to think about getting out of the contract, do it before inspections are signed off on, right?
Yeah, that's always a good thing. And sometimes things happen. Sometimes you find out that there was something that wasn't disclosed properly. But you got to go there. You can't just gin up a reason to get out of it, because those are pretty obvious.
If you'd like a copy of and see a copy of today's show, our real estate show, you can go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's LouisvilleAnswers.com. That is a redirect to our YouTube channel where this show resides, LouisvilleAnswers.com. Our next question over to Brad Lawler, Home Team Inspection Service. Isabella tells us in an email that she has two large dogs, got them groomed every month or every other month. Her groomer told her to be sure she checks her HVAC system and have it serviced on a regular basis to prevent heating and cooling problems. And she's wondering, and this is a good question, so what type of problems could this be, could it cause? And then how often should she have it serviced and or clean the filter? Brett?
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the fact that the groomer's giving some advice on home maintenance, because I mean that's a helpful thing. So when you own a dog that sheds, you have to kind of consider what's going on. You've got to return air ducts throughout your house that is basically sucking air into them. And if your dogs, particularly if they're bedding near them in a bed or in a cage, crate of some sort, those return air ducts can pull in a lot of dog hair. You will find dog hair on the duct or on the grate itself, the metal cover. You probably just want to wipe that off with your hand or a vacuum cleaner or a Swiffer. But that duct is going straight down to the filter. It is in your air handler. That filter you're going to want to check on a pretty regular basis. I mean, probably not less than every month, especially if dogs are, again, sleeping close to those return air vents. Now, A few other things you can do periodically is you can pull that metal cover off that return air duct and just vacuum it out, wipe it out. That'll pick up a lot of the dog hair. But most important thing you can do is just keep that filter changed. Now, the argument is, what type of filter should you use? Use the cheap, $1 or $2 filters and replace them every month, or do you use a more high efficiency filter? My personal preference is a high efficiency filter. I know I'm going to get phone calls about that. I know I've got a friend on speed dial already that's going to call me up and telling me that I'm putting a bunch of back pressure on my air handler, but modern systems are set up to handle high efficiency filters. So your choice, but the thing is you need to check those filters very regularly, particularly if like Bob, who I think you own a few
couple
fuzzy
of
dogs,
German Shepherds. I do.
Yeah. So.
But Brad, so for Chuck and myself, so there's a big difference in price between the couple of dollars per filter upwards of 10, 15.
Yeah, and I've got a system that I only have to replace my filter once every 6 months. The filter that I have is 9 inches thick. Right. So for my buddy who calls and says a dollar filter is what you need, that may be, but I'm going to stick with my the filter that I've got, high efficiency, replace it twice a year. I think I pay about $40, at each change, but it's worth it for the clean air for me.
Yeah. Okay.
See,
So
I don't understand the whole thing. I've got a pug, and my pug doesn't shed. What it does is spread universal shards of joy everywhere. So why would I want to get rid of that?
No, you don't, Bob. You don't, Chuck. Just that's pug life. Come on.
Hey, the pug life chose me.
That's right.
Good. No, but you do need to change your filter. We all need to check. In fact, make a note later today, folks, if you're listening to us, go check your filter and maybe figure out what the size is, because that's important, and then go to a big box store and buy the filter replacement.
And for the rest of the dog groomers out there, step up your game. All the groomers should be advising. They should be connected to the HVAC techs.
There you go. A reminder, if you'd like to find out how much your home is worth almost instantly, head to welovelouisville.com. That is welovelouisville.com. Enter your information, and you will get the response almost immediately. We will give you our next question here from Ava for Chuck Crosby. Purchased the first condo 2 months ago. Since then, she's been noticing about 2 different assessments, she says, in the past 2 months. One's for a roof. Boy, that's a big one. And another one for some maintenance on the condo. She knows nothing about the assessments. Again, she's only owned it 2 months. So, Chuck, she's wondering if the previous owner knew about it and if that was the reason that previous owner sold it. Neighbor wants to know, is there anything she can do? What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, the first thing we need to find out is when those assessments were made. Okay. When was the seller notified of them? Now, it doesn't necessarily change the paradigm here if he knew about it or didn't know about it. So the whole what did he know, not necessarily an issue. It's what you knew or should have known. Now, if the assessment is for a roof issue and it was prior to her owning it, well, that's the same as if it's a house and you've got a leak in your roof. The seller has to go fix it. So that fee would be a seller's fee. Now, did the seller know about it and didn't disclose it? Well, that's obviously an issue that one should take up with the seller. Did the seller not know about it? Well, maybe that gives him a little bit of a shield against any possible action. But in fact, he's still going to have to take care of it. When we do a closing, we will always get with property management companies and we will ask them, are there any assessments against this property? And we'll get that information. A lot of management companies use a third party, HomeWise Docs. If the association didn't mention it, well, then maybe that is also an area of recourse. But typically when you do a closing, that's something that we always look for, is what those assessments are and who should be paying them. Because a roof assessment prior to closing, that's a seller's fee. But that's something we need to get a little more information on first to see which avenue to go down.
Got it. All right. A reminder, you can read about our reviews. We're very proud of our reviews. Go to LouisvilleZillow.com or LouisvilleGoogle.com. This next question goes to Brett Lawler over at Home Team Inspection Services. Tammy sent us an email with a word of warning that is important for everybody. If you are moving, or even if you're not, if you've got cardboard boxes in your house, she says she found a baby cockroach nest in one of the boxes, and she was wondering if there's anything she can spray around the house to prevent cockroaches from infiltrating her home. That brings up a real question about those cockroaches and everything else, Brad.
Yeah, so cockroaches will live in boxes, and if she's found a colony of baby cockroaches, she's going to have lots of colonies of adult roaches soon. The challenge that we have is that a lot of people will leave cardboard boxes on basement floors, pushed up against outside walls. And what that's doing is it's giving a breeding area for those cockroaches. And it's difficult to treat inside those boxes. It's difficult to get, insecticides into them to treat them. And any wet box you've got is going to just be a place that is you can expect to have lots and lots of roaches coming out of it. So best thing you can do is just keep boxes off floors. One of the things to keep in mind too is that as you're moving those boxes around, maybe you take a box out of your basement, you move it up into your kitchen. You can have roaches that will escape there. Now they've got different food sources up there, and they start colonizing in different parts of the house. So you'll want to just take a look at any cardboard box that you've got. It's best not to store a lot of cardboard in the house if you can prevent it. I'd even keep an eye on things like your Amazon deliveries that are coming in. We've seen instances, we've read reports, we've actually seen the live insects that are cockroaches and other insects that are not native to Kentucky and Indiana, but are coming in shipping boxes from other parts of the U.S. So just I guess my only advice there would be just if you get an Amazon shipment, empty the box out, and then take the box outside, put it in your recycling bin, whatever you're going to do with it. But I wouldn't store those boxes in the house. Just take a look inside of it, make sure there's nothing that's crawling around in there. The problem is a lot of times the only thing that are in there are the eggs. And if people aren't familiar with what cockroach egg sacs look like, you may not even know what you're looking at, and that's where the baby cockroaches are coming from.
Well, now I've got to go look up what egg sacs look like for the cockroaches.
They're Eutheca, Chuck.
They're what?
They're Eutheca. So
okay,
that's what you're looking for, is the Eutheca.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
It seems to me that if you find something like that in your basement, it's akin to the same thing that you do when you've used raw chicken up in the kitchen. You have to get out the kerosene and a match, and then just go find yourself a new house.
Well, I mean, that's one way, that's probably people would prefer to use fire, but there's more gentle ways. We can help you stay in your home. We can help you there. Yeah.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to switch from talking about baby cockroaches to wasps. We're inundated with this stuff these days, folks, so you want to stick for this. Brad Lawler owns Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bug Out, and we'll be relying on his expertise in just a couple of minutes with the wasp story. You can reach Brad to get your home inspected and or bugs removed. 844-411-TEAM. Also, Chuck Crosby, owner of the Crosby Law Office. You can reach Chuck for real estate closings, wills, powers of attorney, foreclosure defense, commissioner's sale, and more. You can reach Chuck at his office at 499-6360. If you're thinking of selling your home now or in the near future, I'd love to be able to help you. Free, no obligation analysis. I'll come out. It's me. Come out. No home too big, no home too small. You can reach me 376-5483, or you can go to bobsellslouisville.com, fill out the form, hit submit, and I will call you back. We're back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show, continuing to the top of the hour. Thank you very much, by the way, Barbara Corcoran, being our mentor, friend, and so much more. We really do appreciate her, and you can see her on Shark Tank, both on Channel 11 and on MSNBC reruns. Continuing with us, Chuck Crosby. He's the owner of the Crosby Law Offices. They do a great job of getting your home loan closed. You can pick the closing attorney that you want, and I recommend Chuck Crosby and the Crosby Law Office. He does that, plus wills, powers of attorney, foreclosure defense, commissioner sale. You can reach Chuck 499-6360. Also, if you need your home inspected and if you need services in the way of getting rid of bugs, that's Team Bug Out. So Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bug Out. That's Brad Lawler, who's continuing with us, 844-411-TEAM. And if you're thinking of selling your home now or in the near future, I'd love to come out and help you. It's free, no obligation. I'll come out. It's me. We spend as much time as you need talking about the process and what the prices might be. I use my laptop so we get very accurate comparables. You can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 376-5483, or go to bobsellslouisville.com. All right. My wife, Jeannie's a nurse and seeing a variety of wasp and bee bites, which When I told her this was a story we were going to talk about, she said it's timely. It definitely is needed. So we put Brad in on the hot seat here. So 10 places to check for wasps' nests. And Brad, I'll give you the location. Give us a line about why and why we need to look there.
Yeah.
Let's start with eaves of a home or condo.
Yeah, the eaves, you're going to see these little papery nests of our, the hornets that we have, the wasps that we have around. The hornets can be very aggressive. The wasps are a little bit more sedate, but you'll see those anywhere under the eaves of the home, corners around doors, those places. So yeah, that's probably the number one nesting sites right now.
Then under decks are sheds and garages.
Yeah, under decks. I want everyone to kind of take a peek under the decks. A lot of the wasps are building under decks, and the problem is you don't know that they're there, and the wasps will come up through the deck boards. We've had clients that have been stung by wasps coming up through those areas. Be particularly careful if you have these decks that have like a metal finish underneath where you've kind of waterproofed the area beneath the deck, because those wasps and hornets will nest between the layers of the deck and that metal, and they have to be treated particularly in a different kind of way. But you'll see wasps and hornets flying in and out of those areas, but be careful.
Then the sheds and garages, obviously,
yeah,
corners.
Sheds and garages is kind of the same thing. Garages, mud daubers, we're seeing a lot of. They look like little mud blobs, little mud tunnels that you're seeing high up in the on the sides. Treated a house the other day that had 22 mud dauber nests on the back of a garage door. So yeah, easy to treat, easy to spot, but just be careful around them.
Grills, that pertaining to the grill cover?
Yeah, so the vinyl grill covers or the canvas grill covers, if they sit there for any length of time, you'll have, yellow jackets, you'll have hornets, wasps build up underneath them. So remove those covers carefully. Also, be careful when you're using a grill that hasn't been operated for a while. When you lift the lid on the grill, oftentimes you're going to have a wasp nest that is built inside the grill. So just move slowly when opening it up for the first time.
Then there are tree trunks, and then underground, you can step on them, right?
Yeah, tree trunks, not as much. I mean, you'll see some beehives that are in tree trunks. There's a lot of bald-faced hornets and other hornets' nests that are growing on limbs of trees. Those are those beautiful hornets' nests that, the size of a basketball or bigger. Very aggressive hornets in those. They can be high up in the tree. And you do definitely want to be careful around those. Holes in the ground with ground wasps or ground bees, or yellow jackets you run over. Those are the lawnmower, they can come out. So just be mindful of those, watch for them, and you can treat those actually in the ground. Best to treat them right around dusk when everyone's back at home and comfortable in their nest.
And then be careful around children's play equipment, vehicles, firewood stacks, and patio furniture. All of those are areas,
yeah,
right?
All of them. Check underneath your Adirondack chairs for those. There's something about those Adirondack chairs that we're getting a lot of carpenter bee activity in them too, as well as hornets' nests that are building underneath. And one other thing that hasn't been mentioned, but we've had clients that have been stung several times already, is these old bags of potting soil or just bags of dirt that people keep around their house. If you haven't used it since last season, be very careful, because you could have a yellow jacket's nest actually inside that bag, and as soon as you bump it, they're going to come out and go after you. So careful around those.
Back over to Chuck Crosby and the Crosby Law Offices. This question from Olivia, who says in this email that she and her husband agree to a divorce. The only thing that will tie them together is the mortgage, which is in both of their names. And Olivia wants to sell the house. The husband does not, because of his credit. It's bad, apparently. He needs to work on it. So Olivia's wondering, how is something like this settled? And I know you're not a divorce attorney. Chuck, what advice would you give anybody who may be contemplating this type of a scenario down the road?
Well, it depends on what stage of the divorce they're in. I will frequently get phone calls of people that say, oh, yeah, we're divorced, or, something like that. And they've just filed, or they've just had the talk where they've decided to file. The fact of the matter is, a property settlement agreement is done in every divorce, where you handle things like this, where you say who's going to get the house, who's going to pay this, who's going to pay that. The fact is, if that's already been addressed and he is required to sell the house, it doesn't much matter what either one of them want. It's what the judge has ordered. Okay. So if the judge has ordered that the house be sold, mortgage paid off, etc., and one party refuses to do it, well, then you go back in front of the judge. You say, hey, this person's not following your order. And then they're given another opportunity to follow the order. And if they don't, then the judge can get the master commissioner to go in and stand in their place. I have seen it where ex-husband was supposed to convey the property to his ex-wife, and he just wouldn't do it. He just wouldn't do it. So the judge had the master commissioner come in and then act like him. Perfectly legal. It's just another way of doing it. So one party can't just unilaterally say, this is how it's going, especially if it's in contradiction to a judge's order.
Got it. Wish you luck on that, Olivia. This is for Brad Lawler. Logan is allergic to a lot of things, including mold. Sent us an email saying that he read that the sink could have mold hiding in it and somehow connected to prostate problems. I'm not sure about that. Any thoughts on the mold?
Well, we have this asked periodically. I get some of the most beautiful pictures between bug bites and mold pictures. Yeah, people will ask about the buildup that you get, in particular, like a kitchen sink, and the technical term for that is bioslime. Bioslime. Yeah, it's just what they call it. But what it is it's a buildup of bacteria, food particles, fats, other sorts of lipids. And it doesn't really create any health issues. Now, it may stink. It's not particularly something that you want growing in there. But as far as it releasing mold spores into your environment, I think the risk there is extremely low. How do you deal with it? I mean, I know some people believe in just putting vinegar and baking soda down their drains periodically. I would caution, though, make sure that you test any of the metals around the sink because it will definitely discolor and corrode some metals. Other people believe in, hydrogen peroxide because it kind of foams up against those things. Whatever product you like, any disinfectant, any cleaning product, anything you use maybe in your bathroom to clean out sinks, that's probably a good thing to use. You can also remove it mechanically, as they say, with just using like a brush or, a plumber snake, will even work. But I don't think there's any health hazards for those things in the sink, but from a sanitation standpoint, I wouldn't want that stuff building up.
Yep. Got it. Whoever thought of that?
Bioslime, that's right.
Bioslime.
Invented by a Nickelodeon producer.
Of course.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. All right. A reminder that you can see what sellers are actually saying about us if you go to LouisvilleSellersTalk.com, LouisvilleSellersTalk.com. That's where I've done some interviews with our sellers as we're closing on their home. Chuck Crosby Law Office. This question is for you. Madison says in the email that they are supposed to close on their brand new home next week. They did a walkthrough, yes, it was Friday, and noticed a repair was really poorly done. And Madison saying the builder is trying to force her to actually sign off on the repairs and close. And she says she feels like she should not close until the repair is actually done. She's wondering what are her legal obligations, Chuck?
Well, her legal obligations are to purchase the house if it is substantially complete. That's the standard that a builder has to go by. Not 100% perfect, substantially complete is what they shoot for. However, if she pulled up and said, hey, here's this damaged thing, and the builder said, yeah, I'll get it repaired, and he did a shoddy repair job, well, that's a whole other ball of wax. You might just go ahead and say, no, fix this. You agreed to fix it. See, here's my addendum, and get them to do that. Now, if it's something like not painting over a nail pop, or hey, there's a baseboard that's this, that, or the other, well, that probably isn't substantial. But if it's like a hot water heater or something like that, it may very well be substantial. But the builder's obligation is to create a home that is substantially complete for the contract. But there's a few more pieces of this puzzle we need.
It sounds arbitrary, the word substantial. Whose definition of substantial?
Well, the court.
Oh, the court. Yeah, well, by the time that all happens, because that takes time.
The court says substantially complete. I think one of the cases was the wrong color roofing shingles, and the court said, no, it's a perfectly fine roof. It's just not the color you wanted, and they said that was not substantial. That the builder got his money. It's going to be one of those things like the definition of reasonable. What's reasonable? Well, that's what the courts are for, to define exactly what that is.
You could also have money held in escrow, right,
You
until
can.
repairs are
So
done.
if and that's a common thing when builders haven't completed everything, like sod and seed, or if there's a few different repairs that are left over that they were going to do, a few things that needed painted. What they'll do is they'll do an escrow where you hold time and a half on the money that it would take to complete the job. The builder doesn't get that money till it's complete, and a lot of escrow agreements will say things like if it's not done in this period of time, then the money can be used to complete that. Plus, if he's a builder, chances are he's with the local board.
Mm.
And if he's with the local board, there's a fair number of arbitration options and complaint options there.
Interesting. So there are ways to work around this to get to where you want to be and close. But I guess, Madison, the best thing you could do is talk with your agent. Hopefully, you've got a real estate agent, see what that person suggests, and the builder, and then come up with a plan that will be acceptable to you and to your builder. But there are safeguards in this, hopefully, for you and your new home. We are out of time. My thanks, as always, to Chuck Crosby. He's the owner of the Crosby Law Offices, does real estate closings, and does a great job at that. Plus, he does wills, powers of attorney, foreclosure defense, commissioner sale. Jot this number down, folks. If you need him, he is there for you. 499-6360. Also, Brad Lawler, our thanks to you, Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bug Out. You can reach Brad and his team. They are the #1 home team inspection service 9 years in a row, or 9.5 years in a row.
That's
I guess,
right.
working on number 10. You can reach Brad at 844-411-TEAM. And if you're thinking of selling now or in the future, I would love to help you. It's me. I come out. We talk free, no obligation. We can talk as long as you want. Look at the path, get them up with a price and what needs to be done or not done. So at least you know what the status is. You can reach me anytime on my cell phone, 376-5483. That also translates into 376 live. Or you can go to bobsellslouisville.com. We're out of time. See you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.